But on that note, let's move on and talk about the global market action that we saw overnight in terms of cues, how this is going to be impacting. The research team is joining in with us to tell us what these cues are indicating for our Indian markets this morning. And we do have Vivek joining in with us, as well as Hormaz, who's there as well. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining in with us this morning. And Vivek, let me start up with you. Asian markets have opened up a bit mixed. Cues in terms of Wall Street indicating muted is for, as of now, the futures. What is the Indian market looking like?
Well, good morning, Vinny. Like you mentioned, what's actually happened is that Indian markets were amongst the few markets that were actually open on Jan 1st. So overnight cues, not too much to read out, given the fact that you had most of the markets that were closed. Also, when you're talking about Asian markets today, like you indicated, quite a negative opening as far as most of the Asian markets are concerned. So some muted handover, or maybe soft start is what the GIFT Nifty is indicated. But yesterday was a good day as far as the Indian markets are concerned. We started off calendar year 2025 on a very strong note. All of the indices ended quite higher and quite strong. Nifty ended about the 23,750 level. The mid-cap index as well as small-cap index too did quite well in the session, especially intraday sharp recovery coming in. What aided the gains as far as the Nifty was concerned? Well, it was the large caps, especially the auto packs. So names like Maruti as well as M&M on the back of strong or better than anticipated auto sales monthly data, something that did quite well. HDFC Bank too joined the party yesterday as far as the bulls were concerned. Now, when you're talking of some of the stocks that did quite weak, Bajaj Auto and Escorts, they were the ones that missed expectations, so they actually saw quite a bit of a sell-off. But SJVN was one stock on the back of multiple MOUs that the company signed in the state of Gujarat. That particular stock ended higher by almost 6%. What is it that we'll be watching out for? Like we indicated, gap down start, auto sales, more reactions coming in. Quarterly updates have also started coming in, given the fact that Q3 has now officially ended. So some, expect some reactions. Number one, to Coal India, names like NMDC and also Catholic Syrian Bank. All of these will react to the quarterly updates that the companies have given.
Absolutely, Vivek. Thank you so much for that. And carrying it forward with some of the other stock that you should be keeping on your radar this morning, RailTel, they've received an order of 78.4 crores from Bharat Coking Coal. Keep an eye on that one. Q3 updates, Tata Motors, muted update coming in over here, what you're looking at it. Total sales is up by 1% for the month of December versus estimates it's higher by 3%. But the outlook that the company has given is quite positive. So keep an eye out on that, because commercial vehicle sales were down just 1%. Passenger vehicles saw an uptick of almost 1% in sales, while domestic sales were up by 1%. So muted from Tata Motors. South Indian Bank Q3 FY25 update. Gross advances are up by 12%, while deposits saw 6.3% uptick. So keeping an eye on South Indian Bank. NMDC production data that has come in also, what we're seeing coming in this time. Now, in terms of NMDC's production data, we are seeing for the month of December, it's 4.7 million tons, I beg your pardon, versus last year was 4.48 tons. So last year versus this year, largely muted in terms of production data that we're seeing coming in. Sales also largely muted for April to December. This time around, it's at 3.8. So keep an 31.8. So keep an eye on that. CSB Bank, that's also in focus on the back of its Q3 updates. We're seeing gross advances that have seen coming in with an uptick this time around of 24,572 crores. Total deposits at 33,406 crores. So keep an eye out on CSB Bank. Seems like a decent update that is coming in terms of the growth that we're seeing for the advances as well as the deposits. Other than that, a lot of other stocks are going to be in focus. But what is the FNOQ looking like this morning? We have Hormaz joining in with us for that. Good morning, Hormaz.
Good morning, Vinny, and we are back. This is a positive start to the year. At least that's what the screen shows for the Nifty. We started off the year on a positive note, 100-point gain for the index. We recovered from the lows of the day, but the actual test will begin even today, because it is the weekly expiry for the Nifty, and starting next week when participation returns to full force, because now we are back at that congestion zone for the Nifty between 23,800 to 24,000. The positive, though, was on the Nifty Bank, because yet again taking support at the 200-day moving average of 5,500, recovering 600 points from the lows of the day, and more importantly closing above the mark of 51,000. That was the positive for the Nifty Bank as well. The broader markets were fairly okay yesterday. There was plenty of stock specific action. But for now, the GIFT Nifty is indicating a slightly subdued start for our own markets, and of course there will be this weekly options expiry volatility also that will be at play in today's trading session. The FIIs continued to remain net sellers in the cash market, close to around 1800 crores. They were net sellers in the index futures as well. They've added close to 14,000 short contracts in yesterday's session and only about close to 1800 long contracts. Now for the exposure, the FI exposure is now down to 13.5% when it comes to the long short ratio. There's 13.5% for the FIIs. The clients too added around 2.6 lakh contracts in yesterday's trading session. Now for the options bid, though, the 23,900 call has seen some bit of shedding in open interest, and also there was some addition seen in the 24,100 call option. We will keep an eye out if we get to that 24,000 zone. Will that have enough legs to sustain? On the put side, though, there was addition seen at 23,700, so it remains to be seen. We closed above 23,700 yesterday, so whether that acts as some sort of support in today's trading session as well. The immediate support further down comes at 23,600, and of course on the upside 23,850. That remains the first barrier for the index to cross before it goes up to 24,000. Among the stocks, the first stock to enter the F&O ban this series is Manappuram Finance, so keep an eye out on that stock as well for today's session.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Hormaz.